What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I truly appreciate it. We have a wicked episode today for you. If you like all these episodes and all the crap that I've been spitting, all the guests that I've been putting on, please leave us a review. Please share it with your friends. All right, on today's episode, I have Dave Latina of Hypedelic. The reason I was stoked to get Dave on the show is because he is a fellow reworker. He's been creating hats out of vintage garments. 5 panels, camp hats. I think he's about to do a 6-panel pinwheel style hat. He does very good quality stuff. He is fighting the good fight, helping the planet, making a living, cutting up old clothes and turning them into new clothes. So excited to get into it. We talk about reworking. We talk about working at Round 2. He's a Richmond, Virginia native. We talk about the vintage hat game, the good old snapback days, and we talk about how he got a hat on John Mayer. That is pretty rad. Before we get into it, I have some news for you guys. Some good old vintage news. All right, Frankie is popping up at SneakerCon Vancouver. That's this coming weekend, February 29th. So if you're in Vancouver, if you want to come out, come check us there. I'll be there. Actually, I don't know if I will be there, but my crew will be there selling Frankie, promoting the shop in Vancouver. Also, February 29th, this Saturday, there is a Dallas swap meet called DFW Vintage Swap Meet. I got my news sheet right here. Got to write down the notes. The DFW Vintage Swap Meet, okay? Go check that out. Hit them on Instagram to find out where that is. That's in Dallas, February 29th. In other news, Frankie hit 300K on Instagram. We're doing a big giveaway right now. It's amazing how far we've come with that. Super stoked, super happy and proud of my team. You guys are awesome. If anybody on my team actually listens to this podcast, love you guys. Thank you so much. Stoked for where we're going. Stoked for what we've done and where we came from. Thanks to everyone who copped the latest release of the Frankie Reworked sweatpants we did. We sold those out in about 2 hours. We're working on lots more now. And Frankie's going to be transitioning into unisex product. So dudes, stay tuned. There's going to be a lot more goods for you. In other nudes, I said nudes. Send nudes? No, don't send nudes. In other news, I went shredding today, snowboarding on Whistler Blackcomb. The snow report this morning said 2 centimeters. I brought up my son, put him in ski school. He was ripping it, snowboarding. And it said 2 centimeters, but they must have done the snow report right before it snowed about 10 to 12 centimeters because it was a sick day. There was tons of deep pockets up there. And I think the snow report kept everybody away because, it was a good day. Super stoked. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's get into the episode. Enjoy. So, yeah, dude, finally stoked to get you on the show, man. There's been a lot of back and forth trying to coordinate a date and a time.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me. I'm super stoked to finally get here and be on this.
Nice. So, yeah, give us your full name, dude. I don't know much about you at all. What's your full name?
Yeah, so my name's Dave Latina. I was born and raised in Richmond, Virginia. I'm 25, and I started Hypedelic about a year ago, last year in September.
Nice, which is a sick name, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Hypedelic, it's like bodacious or like radical. It's like a epic descriptor.
For sure. So, one day I was like trying to think of like a cool name because at the time I just had an Instagram just posting like shit that I find thrifting and whatnot. And I was posting some customs too. Like I used to do just like basic like customized brims on like vintage snapbacks and like on polo hats and stuff. And when I decided I wanted to take things to the next level, I was like, I need to come up with like a cooler name, like something that will stick, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so I was listening to Mac Miller, and I was listening to his mixtape.
R.I.P. Mac Miller.
Yeah, man, huge fan, super big disappointment. Still can't believe that shit, but yeah. So I was like thinking the second part of the name to be like Delic would be really cool, and I feel like Hypedelic fit because I like working with the hype brands and also like the psychedelic patterns, you know?
Yeah, totally.
So like for instance, like Polo and like Patagonia and Tommy with like the super cool Aztec patterns and whatnot.
Yeah, so for people that have never heard of you, you basically are a upcycler of hats, strictly hats, right?
Yeah. Yeah, just hats for now. I'm planning on doing more, but as of now, it's just 5 panels.
Yeah, and I saw you were doing like you're working on a pinwheel, like a 6 panel, right?
Yeah, like on the 6 panels. I know like 5 panels aren't for everybody. Like, you know, not everyone wears like a camp cap. But 6 panels are just much more like difficult and like tedious to make everything like line up correctly.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm thinking I'm almost done with those, like having the fit and everything perfected. I don't want to put anything out that I'm not happy with, you know?
Nice. Oh, that's good shit, man. So, I mean, I'm a fan of what you do for sure. I think it's rad.
Yeah,
I found your page, I don't know. When did I first hit you? Like 6 or 8 months ago?
Yeah, you hit me pretty early on to me when I started this, so.
Nice, yeah, and I still need to get a cap, by the way.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, like I saw you reworking Patagonia, so you're making like fleece hats, you're making like, you know, hats out of like old Gore-Tex jackets, and I've seen you do some designer hats recently, and it's really cool. I mean, obviously I'm in the reworking space, so just connecting with anybody who's in this reworking space is awesome because there's not, it's growing for sure now, but it's still in its infancy, and there's not a lot of people to like connect with who are doing it on any kind of like real level, you know?
Yeah, that's true. And the people I do see doing it on Instagram, it's really sick. Like I was seeing everybody's different ideas, you know, like the stuff that you guys do and stuff that other reworkers do. It's just like, it's just so crazy seeing how that stuff is like evolving into fashion.
Big time, dude. It's evolving into its own niche in the industry, and I think it's gonna blow, dude. It's gonna blow up big time because, you know, the consumer is becoming so much more conscious about what they're purchasing, about their you know, their impact on the planet. You know, all the brands are starting to take notice, like, and wanting to get involved, and it's growing so fast, and it's sweet that we're like at this cusp of it, you know.
Yeah, for sure. So it's really cool. Pretty much everything that I rework is obviously secondhand, with the exception of a few things. Like if I see like Supreme or Cactus Plant Flea Market come out with something really cool, like a bandana, for instance, like I'll grab that and rework it.
Yeah.
But most everything I do, like I source all of my stuff thrifting or get it on eBay.
Nice. So what percentage of the hat is reworked then? Obviously you have to have a brim. You buy a brim, right? What's the brim's made out of? Cardboard?
No, so there's like a wholesale seller online. Like there's a few different companies who sell them. They're just like compressed foam, basically.
Okay.
And I buy them like 100 or 200 pieces at a time.
Nice.
So that's pretty much the only thing. So it's the brim and the sweatbands and the straps are the only thing that I don't like actually make. You know, like I buy those parts and then add them to the hat, but the whole hat, like the dome itself, the material on the brim, and all of that is done by me.
That's rad. Okay, let's rewind, man. So let's get into like a little bit of your history of like how you got into thrifting in the beginning. So you were obviously a thrifter before you started to make anything, right?
Yeah, so I got into thrifting in like 2012 or 2013. It started, I was super into vintage snapbacks, and believe it or not, it was you guys. I bought like one of my first ever pieces from you guys. It was like a teal Hawaiian print snapback with like a Mighty Ducks logo on it or something.
Yo, those were fire.
Dude, those were so sick. And I remember getting that in, and I was like, this is so sick. Like, I need more. And that just kind of like evolved into me being like super involved in the like vintage snapback community.
Are you on the WWVSE?
No, I was for a little, but like I didn't really use Facebook that much, so
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. But yeah, so after that, I like started getting some pieces online, and then I'd be like, oh, I don't want this anymore. I'll sell it. And I saw that they were like holding value really well, which I wasn't like. That was a first time thing for me, is seeing that like you can buy something, even resell it. Like that's how I started getting into that. So yeah, so it all started with vintage snapbacks, and then started learning more about vintage like t-shirts and the like all over print Magic Johnson shirts. Like that was some of the first styles that really got me into vintage clothing.
Yeah, those are rad. Magic Johnson had some sick prints. And those were like popular before all this other like 90s stuff became popular, like all the big prints now, you know?
Yeah.
So
sure.
so you worked at Round 2. You're Richmond, Virginia. You're born and raised Richmond, Virginia?
Yeah, born and raised, 25 years here.
Nice.
So there's this place called Rumors here in Richmond, and they do secondhand. It's like buy, sell, trade. It's like it's like Round 2 kind of. It's like more boutique a little bit.
Okay.
They don't sell stuff for like regular like market prices. You know, you can go in there and find a vintage Grateful Dead shirt for $20. And I was in there like doing some sourcing one day, and I asked, I was like, do you know of any more places like around this area that do this type of stuff? And the lady who was working there was like, yeah, there's a place called Round 2 down the street. You should go check it out. So I went in there, and I remember I was wearing that. It was a Mighty Ducks Magic Johnson shirt, like all over print. And I walked in, and this was like super early Round 2. Like they'd probably only been open for like, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 months at the time. And I walked in, and Sean was in there, and Sean was like, yo, that shirt is so sick. And I was like, thanks, man. And yeah, so like I told him like I was just looking for vintage, and we just started like talking, and we really kicked it. And yeah, that's how it started. I started going into Round 2 a lot of the time, because they were posting so many steals. And yeah, I mean, they were just a big part of the collection that I had and whatnot.
Yeah, so a lot of their business model was based on like posting steals to get people to like line up in the morning to like grab like crazy deals, right?
Yeah, it was cool. You'd go there, and I would wait in line because they would post like shoes and hats and whatnot. So like I would go there. They'd think they opened at 11. I would go there at like 9:30 or 10, get in line, and they would have like some crazy like snapbacks, like strips and big logos and back strips and splashes and whatnot. And every hat was $10.
No way.
So yeah, so they posted them for like super steals. And then once like, I don't know, once that hype caught on more, I guess, like the prices started to raise a little bit. Like, yeah, they were posting steals for a super long time.
So what year would you say this is? What year are you talking here?
This was 2013, 2014.
That's crazy. I feel like the market was already pretty pumping at that point.
Yeah, it was. So this was like their very first store. So they had a store. If people in Richmond listening know, it was on this 104 West Broad, I think, and then it was like a super small store. And then they like, once they got bigger, they moved. They got another storefront down the street called the Gallery, and that was just like it like triple the size. Like they had a bunch of cool shit in there. But yeah, like super early Round 2. I don't know if it was just they didn't care about like the market prices of the hats or whatever. They just wanted to give steals to people. But it was a shit. It was really cool going in there.
Yeah, that's rad. So how did you end up?
Yeah.
So what? Sean eventually just needed a job, and Sean was like, "Come work for us."
Well, I was working at Lids at the time. You know, like the half store Lids at the mall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I was doing that for a while, and then I was just like falling in love with vintage at the time, and like in hats and everything. And I was like, man, it would be so cool if I could do this like full time, like have, like be surrounded by this stuff for a job. So I went in and I was talking to him and expressed interest about getting a job, and I eventually got my foot in the door. I started out on the website, so that was like being on the computer most of the day and like posting everything on the website, and putting descriptions of everything. And then that evolved into me moving on to the gallery. Yeah, so then I got asked by another coworker to work at the gallery, and at the time the Instagram was the gallery by Round 2.
Yeah, that one was the one where they were taking like interesting photos like out in parks and shit, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was me and my friend Benny.
Oh, so you were the one taking those photos?
Yeah, it was me and him taking them.
Nice. Yeah, that one was actually cool. I remember that. Like, I followed Round 2 like later on because I don't know. I mean, even in those days I wasn't even big. I didn't even have a personal Instagram for a long time in the early days.
Yeah.
I just was using like F's and Frank's. So I didn't really follow a lot of people. But when I did started to follow Round 2, like once they moved to LA, that account was still going. And it was cool because you guys would post like little history lessons on shit.
Yeah, so I learned like a lot about a lot of things, like shoes and like lines that Nike came out with, like Challenge Court and stuff like that. So it was super cool to be learning about like shoes and the history of like, we would do like write-ups on like vintage Supreme and stuff like that. And then once they opened up the LA store, they eventually started to run it from there only. So it kind of died out in Richmond. And then that's when I started working in store for a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was super fun. It was like those pictures were cool to take. It was fun to research things and let people know what everything was about.
Yeah, I think that's important, man. That's like what we're doing right now. It's like educate people. It's good, like
for sure.
There's not enough content built around this industry, I think.
Yeah.
So what was the vibe like in Round 2 back in those early days?
It was really cool. It was small. It wasn't as like mainstream as it is now. I mean, just crazy steals. It was. I don't know. It was a good time. It was just like you could go in there and just hang out. I mean, I'm sure you can do that now in any of the stores, but back then it was just much more of like a tight knit, like the amount of people going in there and whatnot.
So are you a skater, by the way?
No. I mean, I skated back in like elementary and middle school, but
yeah, I like. Yeah, it seems like a really core vibe, like a core skate shop vibe or something, where like the regulars would hang out all the time, and you feel comfortable.
It's really
going
cool. They had a section in the back of the old store. There's like a couch back there and this table, and the table was like had some like. It was like glass on top, but they had like really cool vintage shit like underneath of it, and you could just sit back and like kick your feet up, and they had like a little TV in there too. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, man. So let's get back into reworking here, because this is a big topic for me, big topic for you. Obviously, we're both really into it. So, like, hats is a technical fucking thing, man. Like, you started off with like producing something that is very technical from a construction standpoint. Like, takes specific machines, it takes specific knowledge. I don't even think my facility is set up to do hats. Like, we've never done hats. Never done shoes. So yeah. So explain to me like how you learned and like what exactly goes into making a hat.
Yeah, so they were like they're super tedious to make. It was a pain at first. Like, after I made my first one, it took me like a few hours to get everything squared away. It definitely took time to perfect them. But I was taking apart hats that I liked the way they fit,
Yeah.
And I was trying to just basically like trace templates and recreate that. And sometimes they wouldn't work out. Sometimes they needed to be wider or deeper, and it all depends on like the like seam allowance, like how much room you're giving when you're sewing.
Totally, and that
role.
depends on like the seam allowances differs from machine to machine, right? If you're not using the same machines that they use to create it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's like, I guess on some machines there's like settings where you can like, one of the machines I have allows you to change like the position the needle is at.
Okay.
But yeah, so I've made my own template based around like how I like certain hats to fit. Like I mixed like a Stussy 5-panel with like a, I don't know, some 5-panel that I had it like that I got from Zoomies or PacSun or something, and just kind of took those apart and was just working them until I really got the fit correct.
Yeah. And so are you full-time now doing this?
Yeah, this is full-time. So mixed between this and thrifting.
How long have you been full-time?
So I graduated college. I went to Virginia Commonwealth University here in Richmond, and I graduated with a degree in advertising.
Nice.
And I was on the hunt for a job for a while, and it was like a perfect in-between time where I was like, all right, I don't have a full-time job. Like, I'm just doing reselling as like a way to get like side money, So I was like, let's see if I take this seriously, if I can make a living off of it. And that's the in-between time when I made my first hat. And that, like, when I posted the first one, like, people loved it. Like, the post blew up, and people were like requesting to get their own hats made, and I was like, shit, maybe I'm onto something here.
That's sick, dude. So what machines exactly does it take to make a hat? How many machines do you have?
I have two. So I started out making them with just like a domestic, like in-home machine. It was like a $200 or $300 machine,
Yeah.
So I use that to like just sew all the panels together. And then I have like an industrial double needle machine. So it's like the machine has two needles that they stitch at once. And I use that to sew like the bias tape on the inside and cover up the seams of the hat to make it, look finished and like professional.
But then, so in order to, because a hat it's so curved and it's 3-dimensional, it's not a flat piece. So you have to have like a free foot, no? Like there's like
Not really. It's just like more so of the way that the panels are cut. Like you have to sew along the panels. Like the panels are rounded and curved, so you have to work the stitches like going like matching up the curves, if that makes sense. And then once you like turn it inside out, it like forms that like dome shape.
Yeah, so you don't have like a specific hat machine, because a lot of the companies have like these different, you know what I mean by the free foot? Like there's no plate underneath.
No, I know what you mean. No, you can just do it with like a domestic in-home machine. If anyone wants to start out, like that's how I started, and then just kind of evolved to.
And then even the brim, like when you sew the brim on, huh?
Yeah,
dude, you got to post more videos of you making a hat so we can understand this process.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people ask me that. I need to take a video of the process or something, but yeah, it's kind of like, it's really hard to explain. It's easier to show than it is to explain, but it's kind of like working the hat like from the inside out. So like when I'm attaching the hat to the brim and stuff, it's all done from like the inside of the hat. And I know people do it in different ways. Like there's some people use like what are those sewing machines called? Like the roller foot machines or something?
Walking foot?
Yeah, the walking foot. Yeah, I've seen some people use those, but like I don't have one of those. So you can do it with just like an in-home machine. Yeah.
Have you ever been to like a hat production facility, like a factory?
I haven't, but I've seen a video on YouTube of New Era like mass producing these hats, and it's crazy. Like the manufacturing they do, it looks.
Have you ever had anybody hit you up like New Era asking to work together?
I haven't. No, not New Era, but that would be really sick. I did have John Mayer hit me up and buy a hat off me.
Dude, that's fire.
that was really cool.
He's huge. That's so sick. He hit you up from his personal account on the DMs?
Yeah, so, you know, like the jacket that he's like famous for wearing, that like LL Bean with the Aztec strip on it?
Yeah, I didn't know he was famous for that. What, he like wears it in all kinds of pictures?
Yeah, well, he's like been seen wearing it, and I feel like when people list that like on eBay, they do like vintage LL Bean John Mayer jacket.
Okay, cool.
But, like, yeah, there's pictures of him wearing that, but
oh yeah. These are
so
sick. These are like the anoraks, the color block anoraks. Yeah.
Yeah, so I made a hat out of that jacket with like no intention of him seeing it, and somebody random just tagged him on the picture, and I remember seeing it, and I was like, damn, that would be really cool. I forgot John Mayer like wore this. That would be sick if he responded. And then he commented on the picture and followed me, and I was like, holy shit. And it said not for sale at the time because it was already sold to somebody. And he commented and was like, this is killing me. I guess because like it said it wasn't for sale. And then I just replied and I was like, I'd love to make you one. And then he responded and he was like, it's DM time. I was like, all right, let's go. So I DM'd him and he was like, yeah, I'd love to have one.
Dude, that's rad. It's funny because I googled John Mayer LL Bean, and your hat comes up first post.
No way.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, on Google Images, bro. Somebody posted on Google Images. John Mayer USA on Twitter. Oh, because he retweeted you, did he?
Yeah, he put it on his story. Like once he got it in, he posted it on his story, and my shit like blew up.
Yeah, because it's got the picture showing that it was liked by John Mayer. So obviously somebody like screenshotted that or something. But dude, you're Google Images #1, buddy.
Damn, that's so sick. Oh,
it's a sick hat though too, because it's got like the Aztec little detail along the front. It's the multicolor, the purple, blue, and green colorway. I get those jackets all the time, and I had no idea that was like a John Mayer thing.
Yeah, I thought everyone just like knew that was a thing, but I don't even know how I found out about that.
Do these jackets hit on eBay for money?
Say what?
Do these jackets hit on eBay for good money?
Yeah, I mean, I think they sell for like $50-$60 quick.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much what I sell them for. I was just wondering if you were going to say like they're like $300 on eBay.
Oh, yeah, no, not that much, but...
Then it's got a picture of John Mayer and a picture of Shia LaBeouf hanging out, the two style gods.
Yeah, I see that. What is that vest he's rocking that Shia LaBeouf is wearing? Is that a jacket? I don't know what that is.
That looks like a weird reworked like fireman's coat, or that looks like an 18th century like women's blouse.
That's crazy. The amount of stuff that he can pull off, though.
It is. It's so crazy. It's like I try to dress like that, I just look like a kook, but he like rocks it hard.
Yeah, man, he makes it look good.
Oh, that's rad, dude.
Yeah, so it would be cool to see John Mayer post a picture of wearing it. Would be really sick. So I'm waiting on that.
Yeah, totally. That's big, man. So I'm on your Instagram right now. I'm scrolling through. So your latest pick is a Guess jeans stripey.
Yeah.
You got the Patagonia fleece hats. Those are obviously super popular, eh?
Yeah, the Patagonia ones go like super quick.
Those Stussy ones are dope. Dude, they're all dope, man. Your hats are rad. I really like this one down below. It's like a Russell, but it's like just white. Oh yeah, that white pinstripe Russell is so clean.
Oh yeah, so they hit me up. They were doing this like project with the fader, and they DM'd me and they're just like, hey, we're doing like a project. Would you want to be involved and like make some hats out of like Russell athletic stuff? And I was like, yeah, for sure, let's do it. So yeah, that one is made from a Yankees jersey.
Nice. So like as far as production, you're a one-man show, right?
Yeah, it's just me.
So how many hats are you crushing out a week?
I try to keep it at a good number to keep like a good income coming. You know, I try to make like 10 or so a week.
Yeah.
But I mean, sometimes it's more like it all really just depends on like if I feel like I want to go thrift or whatever, or if I want to sit inside and like make hats all day. But I don't always post everything I make because a lot of people will hit me up to get commissions done. So they'll like send me their own jackets or jerseys or whatever, and then I'll just sit in here and like make those for them.
Yeah, totally. And the blind one is sick. The blind jeans one with the pocket.
Yeah, are those jeans?
Oh, dude, that one's so sick. Okay, I'm gonna send you some stuff to make me a hat, dude, because it's time I get one of these sick hats, man.
Yeah, for sure. I remember a kid found those at like the bins or something, and he was selling them for $20. I was like, I'll do something sick with those.
Yeah, dude. I love how it's like off-centered too. It's like overlapped into the seam, and it just looks rad. And I like things that looked reworked. You know what I mean? Like a lot of Frankie in the early days, we really like tried to make it not look reworked, but now we're kind of going back to making it look reworked. And I just like that vibe, man. It's good. It's like, let people know, like, this isn't new. This is made from recycled fabrics.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's been a super fun journey for sure.
Yeah, dude, that's sick. So, like, you know, I have my own struggles with reworking. It's super tough to, like, I mean, we do a pretty big production here. We do, like, 500 reworks a week or something right now, or more.
Damn.
Yeah, we're like 500 to 700 a week.
Crazy. You have a lot of employees or what?
Yeah, man. We have like our sewing facility right now. We have like 6 to 7 full-time sewers. I have like a head sewer. I have somebody who full-time sorts and bundles because, like, you know, obviously if you're reworking, you got to be like matching colors and sorting the vintage to make sure it goes to the right product.
Yeah.
Then now we're upping our cutting too because I'm sending some stuff out to some other factories. Like probably 80% of what we do is made in-house, but then I'm sending like 20% out to a couple other factories. So we cut it in-house and then we send it out because none of the other factories want to deal with cutting the vintage because it's such a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
That's
that's awesome. I didn't realize that you had so many like people out there working for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna do like a video where I show the facility, and we're doing more video content for Frankie and showing like the process and how we make everything in the studio, and because it is rad, and it blows my mind even that I have this like mini like studio factory now, because it was never like something that I thought I would have, you know, when I was getting into the business, you know, but I'm proud of it, and it's rad, and I like being able to like support a community, right? Like I like building kind of an economy around this because I think it's important. I think it's good to build this business, and you know, it's good for the planet, it's good for like the economy, it's good for like these people that I have in my company being able to like make a good living here in Canada producing product, which is like a dying thing. Like made in America, made in Canada is like dying away, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, that's awesome. I saw you post, I saw like the Reworked Lakers stuff that you guys did, and you posted like a clip of it or something, I think, on Instagram, and it was really inspirational. It was really sick to see everyone like working in that workspace and just like get shit done. Yeah,
thanks, man. And we actually, we're going to be putting out a video of that whole process too, because it was like a very last minute project for Normani. She hit us up like, you know, we knew like 3 days out, but then by the time we got to work on it, it was like 48 hours out maybe. So it was like go time. Everyone's coming together in the studio, like making it happen, getting her on Skype. You know, I like this, I like that, change this. And then Sarah's flying down to LA for a fitting the next day. And it was just like crazy, but super rad to see that people like that are interested, right, and getting involved and want something made, and puts it on the main stage.
Sure. That's awesome.
Yeah. So like, have you had like hurdles and struggles, like, you know, in this business in reworking? Like, what are some of the pain points of doing what you do?
I mean, I like everything about it. It's cool. It's just like working by yourself sometimes. Like sometimes I feel like I need to get out. Like I don't have a team of people, you know, like I work out of my apartment.
Yeah, totally.
And then there's days where I'm like, shit, I feel like I'm going to go crazy in this house just like working all day, like by myself, you know, like I need some like social interaction. So like I'll go out thrifting or whatever. But I mean, as far as sales go, like sales have been pretty good. Luckily, like I've gotten myself to the point where like I'll post something and it'll be gone within a few minutes.
Yeah, that's rad, dude. So
I mean,
like,
I don't know. I didn't say what?
you don't have any stock sitting, like everything moves.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a hat sitting on my site now. It's like a Blackhawks hat, and I feel like it's a very specific thing for someone to want, like that team hat. You know, like not anyone is just going to want a Blackhawks hat, but like a lot of people will be after a Patagonia hat or like a Carhartt hat or something.
True. Yeah. Well, that's rad that you've built it to that, man. So, like, what's your plans for the future, dude, with this business?
I've thought about that. I don't really know right now. Like an idea I've had is like having a storefront and like a team of workers, like you have people be able to bring things in and say exactly what they want, and we'll like make that either on the spot for them or like tell them like a turnaround time. And also, like, maybe mix that with, like, reselling, like, vintage in there would be really cool, I think. Or people could, like, pick something off the racks and be like, I want this made into a hat. But I'm also trying to learn how to make, like, other things, like pants and shorts. And I feel like that's just, like, a process that takes time. Like, I need to dedicate time to figure out, like, how to perfect that type of stuff.
Yeah. I feel that, man. I mean, it's obviously you went with like the hardest thing first, so you should be all good when you're making everything else.
Yeah, for sure. It's like I want to keep up with like the making hats and like fulfilling orders and whatnot, but there's also like I want to teach myself how to do other things. Like I think having like a studio with like sewing machines and embroidery machines and sergers and all that kind of stuff to do like everything and like screen printing would be really cool. Like I have a lot of ideas in my head, but it's like I couldn't do it by myself at this point that I'm at.
Yeah, no, I feel that, man. But that's a really cool idea, like having a studio, even if you had a few people working, where like you had racks, like racks of clothing. Someone comes in, they pick something, they go, I want this color with this, I want this color brim. Boom, like come back in 2 days and we'll have it, kind of thing. Like that's a sick concept, you know.
Yeah.
And
and have like and just have like scraps and whatever available, so people can just like pick and choose what they want. Would be really cool.
Yeah, we've never really gone that route because we do obviously we've done custom orders and stuff, but we get requests for customs all the time. But it's just like the customs take a lot more time because our system isn't set up like that to be able to do it, right? Because when you're in production, you're like trying to crank out a lot of styles of the same style all at once, and when you switch styles every piece, it becomes tricky. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that completely. I get like a lot of custom requests, and sometimes I'm like I'm backed up, like that I just don't have time to like fulfill it right now with like the other orders that I have. So it would be cool to get some extra people, like start a team of people and get shit moving.
Yeah, man, I think that's pretty sick, dude. I think like you're doing, from what I've seen, you're doing the best quality hats. The whole rework hat game kind of started when people were using like the sheets, right? Everyone was using the polar bear sheets, and those polar bear hats became popular for a minute. You remember that? Did you do those?
Yeah, that was actually my hustle for a while. It wasn't like before I was doing the like full custom hats. Like I was taking polo hats that I would find in like lots on eBay, or like I would go to Macy's or something and grab like a bunch of polo hats and then just sew like the polo bear sheets onto them, like on the brim.
Oh, no way.
And like flipping those from like 30 to like 80 or 90 bucks. So that was like the hustle for a while.
Nice. So what do your hats cost now?
You said what do they sell for?
Yeah.
I post everything at least like $100, upwards of 130, depending on like what it is or how long it took to make or the amount of detail in it or whatever.
Yeah, totally. And like that's super fair because it's like, you know, it probably takes you like half a day to make a hat or something.
No, surprisingly, it takes like an hour and a half from start to finish for one.
Oh, that's solid.
Yeah, so it's like, it just consists of like taking the jacket or whatever it is and like cutting it and tracing the panels onto it, cutting it out, sewing the panels together, making the brim, like all the steps. It's about like an hour and a half.
Nice.
Yeah.
We should do a project together at some point, dude.
That'd be sick.
Frankie Hyperdelic.
We got on this call. That would be really cool.
We should. I'll see what we got in the pipeline coming up for our other projects, and we'll couple it in so it's like, we'll make a few garment pieces, and you make some hats, and it'll be like a full outfit drop.
Yeah, and you could like send me like the scraps that you guys have left over or whatever.
Totally.
That'd be awesome.
And yeah, because we're branching into unisex now. We're gonna keep doing unisex items and slowly get more into men's.
Okay.
So yeah, dude, let's do it.
Good deal, man. That was sick.
So as far as like reworking and like the game right now, like who are you looking up to? Who do you see out there doing cool product or cool creative stuff?
There's this one dude on Instagram. I don't know if you've heard of him, Justin Mensinger, I think is how you say his last name.
Yeah, no, I know him. Totally.
Yeah, and he makes these like really crazy like pullover like hoodies and like button up jackets and like patchwork flannels and stuff, and he does like screen printing on them too. That's just like super cool. And I've seen him do he did like a drop with Champion and like a drop with Adidas, and they had like a whole capsule collection and did like a photo shoot for it and everything. And it was really cool. Yeah,
I've seen his stuff. I've been following him for a while. His stuff's really clean. It's really like, it looks like the construction's really good on it.
Yeah.
I think where is he out of Chicago or somewhere on the East, eh?
Yeah, he's in Chicago, I think.
Yeah, I do like his stuff, man. It's super rad. It's cool. And like I've seen him do a couple more like sort of fashion-based things. Like he did this kind of like kimono that was all made out of like denim and duck canvas, and like that thing looked super
and,
cool.
Like Carhartt jackets and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like pretty big inspiration. He's like a big inspiration for me to like want to start other things too. Like just doing like pullovers and shirts and stuff looks really awesome.
Nice. You got anybody else you've been following?
You guys, of course.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I'm trying to think who else.
Have you seen? I posted about her recently. Her name's Lindsay. She has a company called Sway Shop in LA, and she did all the Patagonia worn wear stuff.
Oh yeah, she has like she's like working with Patagonia, right?
Yeah, well, she basically her company's called Sway Shop, SUAY, but so she's basically like a collab with Patagonia, and she's got other collabs coming up with other brands. So she did the first big project was that Patagonia worn wear where they took all the puffers and they made like really interesting kind of like military liner style jackets, and they got a new. Like, I think she's going to continue that Patagonia project, so, like, they'll be in the next season coming out. But she also makes her own stuff and does these crazy anorak jackets, and she's going to be working with different flannel patterns, and she makes housewares, too, like naturally dyed patchwork quilts and
that's sick.
All kind of stuff, man. But she's rad because she's, like, super eco-warrior. Like, for her, it's about the planet and about, like, fucking over the industry, kind of, like
yeah,
like really about.
I think I peeped. Yeah, I think I peeped her Instagram after you had posted about her, and she made like it was just like a simple like a quilt or a blanket or something made of all scraps, but it was so cool.
Yeah,
to see scraps be used that aren't big enough for something else to just patchwork those and make something out of that.
Totally, I think that's a big thing. Like, people in our industry, people who are doing cool projects, it's like. We got to be using those scraps, utilizing everything because, even with our business, there's still garbage, It's not a zero waste thing. It's like there's still trash at the end of the day. So being able to utilize everything is a big, it's a big win for the planet, man. Like we actually pay to have our scraps recycled because like, fuck, like I said, we're doing 700 reworks a week. We have like a couple 100 pounds of like offcuts that need to go somewhere, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I do with like my scraps. I put them all in a bag and like separate like whatever is obviously big enough to use. And I just like, there's a couple of thrift stores around here who will resell like scraps, like scrap fabrics by the pound or whatever. They just like separate them in bags and we'll sell them. So that's what I've just been like donating mine.
Nice. Okay, man, we're gonna play a game, dude.
For sure.
You ready for a game?
Let's do it.
Okay, this is a word association, but it doesn't have to be like one word answers. Just like whatever, just start spitting what comes to your mind when I say these. This is a brand word association, okay?
All right.
First on the list, Burberry.
Plaid.
Okay. Are you okay? Nice. That is very good. Gucci.
Ray Sremmerd.
Okay, what, Ray, who?
Ray Sremmerd. They're like two. I think they're brothers. They're like they rap together. And I was just watching this episode of Ridiculousness, and one of them was wearing this like crazy Gucci headband, and that's just like the first thing that came to mind.
Nice, dude. Ridiculousness with Deerdeck.
Yeah.
The man, dude. I used to look up to Deerdeck so much. Like when Fantasy Factory was on.
Yeah, dude, that show was the shit.
I was like, dude's living the fucking dream.
I know. I remember like wanting to have just like a huge ass warehouse to just bullshit around in.
Dude, I swear. So, okay, when we first, I'm sitting in my office right now in my warehouse in Vancouver, which we've had for, we got it in 2009, I think, right? So it's 11 years I've had this warehouse, which is crazy to think. I'm getting old. But that was like, we started the snapback like biz out of this warehouse back in the day, and like the website out of this warehouse. But when we first got the warehouse, we were just basically using it for storage, and first thing I did was put a skate ramp in it. And I swear there's like an upper level and there's like a it's basically 2 level, but I was like, we got to put a fireman pole in. We got to like put all this like Fantasy Factory. And I even like I have the phone number to the warehouse in my phone as factory, because we called it the Fantasy Factory back in the day.
That's sick.
But all we really ended up with was a skate ramp, and that's about it. We stopped there.
That's so dope, though. I think most people's warehouses.
Yeah. Okay, back to the word association. Coogee.
Biggie.
Yeah, dog. What about Stanley DeSantis?
Stanley Delantis?
DeSantis, do you know that?
Wait. Are you talking about like the vintage shirts?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry, you broke up a little bit.
No.
Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah. Okay. Good one. Have you had much of those shirts?
I've had 2. I thrifted one, and then I bought one on eBay. It was one of the Tommy Pull My Fingers.
Okay. That's so weird. I've never had a
Butthead
DeSantis Tommy Pull My Finger, because I think those were like, I don't know if those were legal, because Tommy was trying to shut those all down.
They were definitely like bootleg, like Hilfiger ripoffs.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing around 2 Hollywood, I think, post one of those. Was like the first time I've seen it, and I was like, this is sick. So I was searching like every day on eBay for one for like a while, and I ended up finding it for a steal for like $25.
And that was the Beavis and Butthead one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was that. And then I thrifted another one that had like, it wasn't that cool. It had like Homer Simpson or something on it. I don't even remember what the graphic was, but yeah, those shirts are cool though.
Yeah, there's a lot of sick ones, man. I recently had a Ricky Lake one sold at the Rose Bowl. I had a what was it? Wizard of Oz one, a sick Wizard of Oz one. There's so many out there, man. But it's funny how people like. It's only been recently that people are kind of like searching those out and collecting specifically Stanley DeSantis. You know.
Yeah, I've definitely seen more of them pop up recently, like on Instagram and eBay.
Okay, sports specialties.
Script.
Yeah. Patagonia.
I used to be a huge like script collector.
Do you still have them?
I have a few from my collection that I couldn't let go of, but I had almost every NHL team script back in the day.
Nice. Some of them are like super, super rare, eh? Like, I know the Leafs was a rare one. What's
the
Leafs
Maple Leafs is one that I never acquired, but I always wanted.
What's the rarest, what are some of the rarest scripts out there?
Now I don't even know. I feel like I've been like out of like collecting hats for a while that like so many have probably popped up. I remember one that I got super stoked on is my parents are from Buffalo. My mom's from Buffalo, my dad's from Rochester, so I was raised like a Buffalo sports fan, so I was collecting Bills and Sabres hats for a while.
Sick, dude.
And I ended up finding a Bills Heather script like locally on it was like Facebook Marketplace or something. I was super stoked because I was after that one for so long. Finally found it, but like I don't know, the Heather scripts are like super cool to me. I don't know if those are still like as rare as they were back in the day, but.
Well, I mean, I don't know. We through all those years of digging snapbacks, we might have had some of the Heather scripts, but like small percentage, man, and we never found like any big scores of Heather scripts.
Really?
Yeah, they were like.
I know you guys found.
We had shitloads of hats.
You guys,
but, yeah.
Yeah, you guys had so many. It blew my mind back in the day.
Yeah. It's funny. My family's from Ontario, right near the border, like Niagara Falls, Buffalo.
Yeah.
So we grew up.
Cool.
We grew up going to Buffalo Bills games and Sabres games.
Oh, nice. Are you a Leafs fan there?
We were actually more Sabres fans, to be honest, but I wasn't never much into hockey. Like, my dad's way more of a football fan than hockey fan.
Okay.
So, like, we were definitely going to more Bills games than hockey games.
Gotcha.
Those games were sick, though, man. The tailgate parties at the Bills games back in this was like the 90s. Like, my dad had season tickets when they went to those 4 Super Bowls.
Damn.
So,
that was, I think the last of the 4 was in like 94, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it was 91 through 94.
Yeah, so this is like my high school days. I would have been like, 12, 13, 14 in that era.
Yeah.
And that was when, Buffalo was going off, man. It's crazy that they did that. Still, no one's ever done that.
Yeah, that would have been a blast to go to. I wish I was around for that in that time. I was born in 94, so ever since I was born, they've just been sucking it up.
They have like an okay season this year. They kind of came back a little bit, but they made the playoffs, right?
Yeah, they made the playoffs at least, but still.
Yeah, they've been sucking.
Yeah.
Okay, last one, Patagonia.
Tribal print.
Nice. So are you actually a fan of Patagonia?
Yeah, I like Patagonia stuff a lot. I'm down with like their vision and like I really like how they suggest. I'm pretty sure, don't they suggest on their website to look for Patagonia secondhand before buying from their website?
I don't know. I've never read that, but I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, I think I saw somebody post that and I thought it was really cool. And it also says like reuse and recycle or something on their tags.
Yeah, that's rad. And now they have the secondhand program where they resell stuff on their site. And they're working on
I didn't know that.
They're working on the that project with Sway Shop to keep reworking, and they did that thing where they gave their like full tax cut back to the planet, like $10 million.
Yeah, I heard that. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Definitely a rad brand. Definitely a good mission.
Yeah.
They've had campaigns in the past where they've said like, don't buy, like big ads in magazines like, don't buy this jacket. Here's why you shouldn't buy it, kind of thing. Like that's their campaign, but yeah, it's wild.
That's really dope. Yeah, Patagonia is definitely one of my favorite brands to rework.
And fleece has had such a comeback, Like in the last maybe 2 years, it's insane how popular it's gotten. Every brand's been putting out fleece, and Yeah, just such a huge resurgence, man. And like Patagonia kind of like blew up again because of it. Like everybody copied that Retro X style fleece, you know? With like the one pocket in the front.
Yeah, and like the like Sherpas and stuff. Like I've seen so many brands. Like I'll be thrifting and I'll think that I found like a Retro X, you know, like the Patagonia Retro X, but it's just like some random brand.
Yeah, totally. You know the brands that you can buy on like the side of the highway in random towns are like those fleeces with like wolves and stuff on them.
Yeah.
Have you ever used that stuff?
No, I haven't, but that would be a pretty cool sourcing trip to stop at one of those.
Yeah, like I find more of those now in the rags and the thrift. Those are coming through more, and they're popular. Like people vibe on those because Supreme has like redone them a bit. Like Supreme put out that one with the eagle on it like last year, the year before, and yeah. So do you like when you're sourcing, you're finding enough to make all your hats? Like you never have a shortage of product?
No, I have like a whole pile of stuff that still like needs to be reworked, but whenever I go out thrifting, it's like cool to look for like t-shirts and jackets or whatever, either for me or like to sell, but also like if it wouldn't fit or if it wouldn't sell for that much, it would be cool to rework, or even going through like the women's section or like the kids section to find stuff. Like I find a lot of good shit in like the kids section, like Carhartt jackets and like youth jerseys, and it's like enough for a few hats. Yeah, that's sick. And that's kind of the best thing about reworking is that you get to utilize things that would otherwise be left behind and possibly just end up in the trash, right? Yeah, exactly.
Because you can always sell, like a good vintage t-shirt's always going to sell, you know, a good vintage jacket's always going to sell as it is. So the big, I mean, obviously we rework tons of things that would sell on their own too, but we rework probably 80% of the stuff we rework is stuff that we wouldn't have picked it unless we had planned to rework it, you know? Mm-hmm. So
yeah, like finding stuff that's stained or like has rips or holes.
Exactly.
Just avoiding that part of it is it's fun.
Yeah, or even like it doesn't have to be even that old to be made cool again. As long as it was like just something interesting, you know. Like with vintage, it's like people are only buying like what's 90s or before, right? But when it comes to reworking, you can rework something from 5 years ago that you found at the thrift that can be made cool again, right? That's just going to end up in the trash.
Yeah, exactly. The reworking scene is awesome.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for being a part of it, dude. I'm hyped on what you're doing.
I was listening to one of your earlier podcasts, and I heard you say that, and I was preparing a challenge for myself to tell everybody was to just make something out of an existing garment. Even if it's bad, even if it seems like it might not be that cool, like just make it. It's fun. Like it's a fun process, and it's really rewarding. Like once it's finished.
Totally, dude. That's the challenge, dude. Good call. Let's make something out of something existing. Make something new out of something old. Speaking of rewarding, isn't it the best feeling when like you create something with your own hands, your own brain, and people vibe on it?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I think about that all the time. Like it seems surreal almost. Like when I started doing this, I didn't really I wasn't expecting it to turn into what it has turned into. But like I'm like I don't know, it's just cool. I'm holding like one of the hats now, and it's just like really sick when you think like this used to be something that like no one else can enjoy, and now like multiple people can enjoy a hat, but they couldn't wear like a youth size jersey or something.
Yeah, dude, big time. And it's like you're not. It's like there's so many angles to go in this business, in the business of fashion, right? But you know, after so many years doing it, it really became about why. What are we doing, and why are we doing it? And you know, to really like build this to what I want it to be, it had to be about like it had to have a good mission. You know, it had to be something like tangible that I could like really get behind, and it just makes so much sense. Reworking is super important, man. It's like it's so good for the planet. It's reducing like our demand on new clothing production, which is huge. It's like allowing other people to get creative and make an income. You know, there's so much good about it, and yeah, dude, it's like it is so rewarding when you can create something that's successful, that has a good mission, right? That has like a rewarding mission you can feel good about.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where it's going to be in 5 years.
Yeah, dude, for sure. It's like, it's wild how many people are getting involved. It's like, I think it's going to be quick, man. I think in the next 2 years we're going to see so much change. And yeah, dude, 5 years out, geez.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, even next year, like, you never know what brands are going to like hop onto the reworking scene.
Yeah, well, I mean, did you hear Adidas is doing a new program, a take-back program? They piloted it in Europe. So now you can they're literally at any store, I think. Maybe it's just in the UK they're starting, but you can bring in old Adidas clothes or shoes or whatever, and they'll give you credit for something new. So
that's really cool. Are they reworking them, or are they?
Well, there's like, it's all up in the air right now. They're kind of just seeing what they get back first of all, and then they're developing the plans. So some of it will be resold. I'm sure eventually some of it will be worked on or repurposed or recycled, or I don't know exactly. But they also made that crazy shoe that was made from 100% recycled material. Did you see that one?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it was kind of low key because they only made like a seating round. So they made this shoe, and every piece of the shoe was from the exact same material. So like the laces, the eyelets, the sole, the fabric, everything was made out of the same composite, right? Which is super weird because it still looked like a shoe, like it had like a soft sole, but like a pliable top and like tie up laces, but it was all made from the same material. So their theory was like, they made like 200 pairs. They sent them out to like influencers and athletes and stuff. They wore them for like 6 months, and then they got them all sent back. And now, because the shoe's made out of all one material, they can throw the shoes into like a big bin and have it like mulched back up and made into a new pair of shoes.
What?
Yeah, so
that's
like
crazy.
It never, like the life cycle is endless on this pair of shoes because it's all one material.
Yeah, I feel like just as like technology and stuff progresses, to be able to just like that, like make like the way they're recycling like old material. Like I feel like there's a bunch of cool stuff that can be done to just like compress, I don't know, like certain materials to make other things. Like I was in some store with my girlfriend, and it said, bring in an old pair of your jeans for $20 off of the new pair, and we'll turn the old pair into like housing insulation, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's sick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, technology is like kind of, it's insane where it's at. Like it's all just money in the end. It's like just like Tesla or like electric cars. It's like everyone could be driving an electric car. It's just a matter of there's too much money being made on oil still, so it's slow, right? It's like with clothing, it's like there's lots of techs that we could all be going green pretty fast, but there's too much money being made on not being green at the moment to transition it super fast. So it'll get there. It just takes catch-up time, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like, you know, I went to that event in Amsterdam in the September. It was like a sustainability conference, essentially put on by this company, Fashion for Good, and there was a lot of people there with interesting new technologies based around exactly what we're talking about, like different ways to recycle, different ways to cut down on like greenhouse emissions through fashion. Like we were there because of reworking. But one crazy tech that I heard about that I want to tell you is like, I guess the biggest hurdle with recycling clothing in like a typical recycling sense, not when you're reworking, but if you're actually going to recycle materials and stuff, you have to break it apart, right? So you have a jacket that's made of like maybe Gore-Tex, but then it has like a metal zipper, then it has like this rope for like a cinch, and then it has, you know, a different material liner. Basically, in order to recycle any of that shit, you got to like have somebody break it down, unstitch it all. Mm-hmm. Which is insane. No one's going to pay for that. That's like insane labor, right?
Yeah.
So this company came up with this thing where they have this thread that will like disintegrate at a certain heat. So you could say take the jacket, throw it into this like dryer machine that goes to like a certain high heat, and then the thread disintegrates, and you can just pull out all the fabric again. So it's like back to like its pattern.
Damn.
It's crazy, right?
That's awesome. That is crazy.
So who knows what's
That's
going to
really
be?
sick. Yeah, like I'm wondering, like, yeah, if like just what technology is going to be around to just donate like any amount of material and just like somehow compress it all into one thing and just like have it be a whole new material to use.
Yeah, totally.
Like I think I saw Nike post something about like you can donate your old running shoes and they'll like tear them up or something, and they'll use the rubber for like mulch on playgrounds or something. Have you heard about that?
Oh yeah, that's sick. So like, because like all those playgrounds, they have that like bouncy layer now, so kids don't like break their arms, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Totally.
Yeah. But it's just so cool to me.
Yeah, big time. It's rad, and I think Nike's like leading the charge. They have a good sustainability team. But yeah, no, it's sweet, dude. I think we're over an hour now. So you got any shout outs here? You got any people? Or you want anything you want to say? Last words?
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone who's been supporting. Anyone who drops a comment, a like, a purchase. I appreciate all you guys. You guys keep me going, so thank you to everyone. Big shout out to everyone in the reworking scene, the vintage communities is super tight. So
awesome,
thank
dude.
you guys, and thank you, Drew, for having me.
My pleasure, dude. Thank you. I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for doing what you do. Frankie Hypedelic coming up in the future.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're out.